A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I'd like to say assalamu alaikum to everyone here. Yesterday we sort of went over, or the day before yesterday, the invitation from the people of Kufa, and we got up to the eve of the Karbala, and today we'll be actually starting the Battle of the Karbala. So
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal-mursaleen, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam wa man wala. My dear respectful brothers and sisters who may be listening at home, we basically, yesterday, we went through the journey of Imam Hussain. It's basically called The Journey Continues from Mecca to Karbala, and we went through the various narrations and the various incidents in regards to the journey to this place. That Imam al-Hussain, his destination was Kufa. Ibn Ziyad sent 1,000 men under the leadership of bin Yazeed to apprehend and to stop Imam al-Hussain entering into the city, and that continued on until Imam al-Hussain eventually went to a place called Nineveh, which is the land or the place called Karbala. That's the name that everyone is known of, and we discussed that. Today we're going to discuss the actual battle of Karbala, and tomorrow is our final day. We will discuss two topics. Tomorrow is going to be brief. One is the aftermath of what happened in Karbala, and secondly the lessons that we learned from the Battle of Karbala and the lessons we learned from Imam al-Hussein's life, RadiAllahu Anhu. In regards to the battle, Imam al-Hussain has 32 men with horses. 32, these are the numbers in regards to the numbers of the various people. Imam al-Hussain has, RadiAllahu Anhu, 32 horsemen and 40-foot soldiers. That comes to approximately 72 people at that time. The victims are 88 in total, because from 72, the 88 come from where? They are the people that actually that joined the army of Imam Hussain, either during the battle or prior to the battle. That is what happens. The enemies in narration are 5,000. We know 5,000 was sent under the leadership of Umar bin Sa'ad. 1,000 was the cavalry that was under the leadership of bin Yazeed. Some narrations Ibn Athir mentions in his book of Tariq. Ibn Athir says approximately there was 12,000 soldiers on the side of Ibn Ziyad. So you're looking at less than 100 people on Imam Hussein's side, 88 people, and you're looking at the opposition is like 12,000, one narration says. Another narration 6,000, another narration is 8,000, but what we know, it's in the thousands. And in the morning of the battle, Imam al-Hussain leads his people in salah. He leads his people in prayer, and he leads them in the salah. And after he prays, the companions of Imam al-Hussain, they say that the prayer that we prayed with Hussain was unique. It was quite unique, that prayer that we had with Imam al-Hussain radiallahu anhu warda. We never experienced a prayer like that. It was like something was quite unique, something special, overwhelmed in it, because obviously they all knew, because prior to that day, the evening, Imam Hussain made it very clear that tomorrow these people will not rest until they have my blood. They will not rest until they have my blood, until I'm dead. So the salah that they prayed with Imam Hussain had some spiritual khushu, which was beyond normal salahs. It was them preparing to meet Allah, because they knew that this was the last prayer before the battle maybe, because they are not aware whether they will be able to pray Dhuhr or Jum'ah prayer, because it was a Friday. So until you need to please be quiet, okay? All of you, please be quiet at the end. Jazakallah khair. Pay good attention to what we understand, because this is very delicate stuff, and I don't want to get disturbed with it. Jazakallah khair. So, because They are not aware whether the Jum'ah prayer will be said. They are not aware. They are not aware whether they will be given permission to make any other prayer. But what they are aware is that this is a prayer that they are praying with Hussein. This is the last Salatul Fajr that they are praying with Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu warda. Imam Hussain then organizes his battalion into 3 sections. One is the center section, one is the right wing, and one is the left wing. On the right wing, he gives the charge to a guy called Zuhair bin Qarn. Zuhair bin al-Qarn is, radiallahu anhu, is amongst one of the heroes of Karbala, one of the great heroes of Imam Hussain, one of the great supporters. Even till this day, many of the people who were shaheed, who were amongst the shuhada of Karbala, a lot of them, their names are known, some of them are not known. But Zuhair radiallahu anhu is one of those people who is extremely famous and well known in regards to the battle. He is in charge of Imam Hussein's right wing of the army. On the left wing, Imam Hussain puts a man called Habib bin Muzahir radiallahu anhu. Habib is a giant personality, and he's one of those people who was like Imam Hussein's right hand man. He spent all of his life with Imam Hussain. He loves the Ahlul Bayt with greatness. And who does he give the main standard to? Who does he give who does he give the main flag to? Because you know, on the Battle of Karbala, when all the Sahaba were gathered and all of the Sahaba were going to do what? They attempted to enter into the place where the Jews were, the fort. None of them were able to enter. Why? Because of the giant doors. The Prophet said what? He said in the evening to them, all of them, Umar tried, Abu Bakr tried, Uthman tried, Talha tried, Zubair, Radwanallahu alayhim ajmain. These were the Akabirin of the Sahaba. And the Prophet turns around and says, لِيُعْطِيَنَّ رَايَةٌ غَدًّا رَجُلٌ يَفْتَحُ اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ يَدَيْهِ. The Prophet says, tomorrow I will give this banner, I will give this standard to that person in whose hand Allah will give victory. Allah loves him and the Prophet loves him. And he loves Allah and he loves the Prophet. Umar radiallahu anhu says, he says, Wallahi, in my life, this was the only time I wished that was me. He says, I never wished anything from the Prophet. Only this time I wish that that person would be me. Radiallahu anhu. And in the morning when all the Sahaba gathered, Umar said, I put my chest out to make myself visible to the Prophet. Trying to say, Prophet, choose me. And the Prophet is looking around and he can't find him, and he says, Aina wa Aliyun. One narration says, where is Ali? And one narration says, where Aina wa Ibn Am? Where is my cousin? Where is the son of my uncle? One narration says, where is my brother? And then Ali comes to the Prophet, and the Prophet says to him after he cured him of the illness of his eye, he says, go and fight, Allah will give you victory today. In your hands there will be victory today. And Ali went, and we know what he did, he ripped the door out. One point which is unique is you can break a door, but taking a door out of its hinges is very hard. It's literally impossible to take a door out of its hinges. You can break it. Ali radiallahu anhu took it out of its hinges. He then used it as a shield. And one narration says he then used it as a bridge for the Sahaba to get into the fort. And he put it onto his back. So when we come to Karbala, the army is now ready. Who does Hussein give the standard to? Who does Hussein radiallahu anhu give that flag to? Who represents the power, who represents the house of the Ahlul Bayt? He gives it to no one other than Al-Abbas ibn Ali, his brother. Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu warda is the one who's in charge. So we have the right wing, we have the left wing, and Hussein. Imam Hussain comes out, and what he orders, because what I showed you yesterday was this is like the battle. This is the river Euphrates in that part. The enemies are in front of the river, and they have about 8-9 battalions. The way they put the scenario, Imam Hussain is here. His 3 battalions are here. Behind Imam al-Hussain, behind Imam al-Hussain at the back is what? Imam Hussain has his tents of his family. But what does he then do, radiallahu anhu warda? Behind that, he orders that fire be lit. He orders that fire be lit. The wisdom behind that was that they don't want the enemy to attack them from behind. So you have Imam Hussain there, the three areas of the battalion. After the battalion, you have the fire. Shall I put back here? What's the back? It'll be better for us. Do you all understand that? So he puts it on fire. Now this is the enemy. In the enemy, the right, Umar bin Sa'd organizes his people. On the right, in charge of the right wing is a guy called Amr bin Hajjaj. He's in charge of the right wing. The disgraced man called Shimr Dhil Jawshan, who is the evil man, who, you remember yesterday, his nephews cursed him when he gave them protection. He is in charge of the left wing. So it's two experienced people. Azra bin Qais is in charge of the soldiers on a horse, the cavalry. Shabath bin Rib'i, some say, he is in charge of the foot soldiers. And Umar bin Sa'ad's servant, Duwayd, he is the one that has the standard. He has one standard. So now both armies are ready. Imam Hussain, what he does, look at the beauty of how he starts. He puts on his armory, he puts on his beautiful turban, and then he goes into his tent and he says, bring me a bowl. They bring him a bowl. He then says, put musk in the bowl. And they put musk. Then he starts applying the musk to his honorable body. Yani Imam Hussain says that if I have to meet Rasulullah, says, when I want to meet my grandfather, I want to meet him in the state of having musk on me. I want to meet him in the best state. Can you imagine? That is what you call adab. Even the state of fighting, Imam Hussain, his priority is what? He wants to visit and meet the Prophet in the best state, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Two of his students, Abdurrahman al-Burayr radiallahu anhu, these are two giant heroes of Karbala. When they see Imam Hussain applying the musk, both are fighting amongst each other, that say that we want to be the next to do it. And they're waiting outside the tent. And when Imam Hussain leaves, he looks at them and smiles, and both run to try to beat the other, to reach the bowl and to apply the musk on them. And when Imam Hussain does this, he then calls his horse. And then he says, give me a copy of the Quran. And he puts a copy of the Quran. His horse was called Lahiq. His horse was called Lahiq. He says, bring me my horse. He puts it there. Why did he put the Quran there? This is a unique thing by Hussain. On the head of his horse, one says. One narration says on the neck. One narration says on the back of the neck, which faces him. He puts the Quran there. Imam Hussain put the Quran there. Many ulama have interpreted it and said the reason was, for what reason? That the Quran will give shahada to the death of Hussain. That the Quran will give testimony to Allah how Hussain was martyred on that day. Then Imam Hussain, he looks around to the people and he puts his hands to Allah. He says, oh Allah, in you do we trust in all grief. In all circumstances we only turn to you, Allah. Oh Allah, we give our trust to you, and our grief is with you only. What problems we have, whatever tribulations we are facing, those tribulations we are only facing because we put our trust in you, Allah. Whatever you will happen. وَمَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا مَا يُرِيدُ. Whatever you will, Allah, only your will happen. Imam Hussain, when he does this, he calls his horse, he puts the Quran like I mentioned. Now, Umar bin Sa'ad comes to Imam Hussain. Umar bin Sa'ad comes, the army is coming to attack, to fight. Imam Hussain then rides his horse and he goes towards Umar bin Sa'ad. The Kufans who were fighting said, Wallahi, we have never seen someone so handsome like Hussain on that day. They said, when we saw that man, they said it immediately reminded us of his father Ali. They said we had to think twice, and we had to look twice and rub our eyes just to look and to make sure that Ali hasn't come back. They said that was the beauty. Some of the narrations say on that day it was such beauty or such fighting, and Hussain had so much nur in him, radiallahu anhu. They said he had a beauty that we have never seen. Even his own companion Zuhair says, when Hussain came out, He says, "Oh Imam, wallahi, we have never seen the beauty in your face than today." There was something different about him. Hussein was happy. Hussein wasn't upset. He was happy because why? He knew that he had to fulfill the command of his. And that is when the children of Ja'far came to him. The children of Ja'far said, "Oh uncle, we know what dream you had of the Prophet now. We know what the dream was, and we know what the order was from the Prophet." And Imam Hussein did not answer, he smiled at them. He smiled and kept quiet. Imam Hussein turns to the people and says to them, he says, "Oh people," he's now giving his historical khutbah. This is the historical khutbah Hussein radiallahu anhu gives to the people. He says, "Oh people, listen to my words and do not hurry to violate and kill me. Listen to what I'm saying. Even in the final incident, the final moments, Imam Hussein is willing to do everything and tries to do everything to avoid them to go hellfire. Imam Hussein is trying to remove the doubt in their heart. He's trying to remind them that you need to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to reflect upon what has happened. You need to reflect upon what you are doing." He says, "Don't violate me. Don't kill me. Stop for a second." What did he say? Stop. He says, "Listen to my words." And then he gives his reasons. He says, "If you accept my words, and you be kind to me, Allah will be kind to you." He then turns to them and says to them, he says, "Stop and reflect, who am I? Trace my lineage. Look at my family tree. Then stop and compare that family tree with your family tree." Subhanallah. He says, "Look who I am. I am Hussein, the son of Ali. I am Hussein, the son of Fatima. Take that for 1 second. Then look at your own family. In other words, who are your parents? And who is my parents? Then compare your parents to my parents. Are your parents like Fatima? Is there any female woman that was ever born like Fatima Zahra? No way. Fatima is the greatest of all the women of Jannah. There is no woman from even Hawa, the wife of Prophet Adam, is beneath her. Even Maryam is underneath her. Even her own mother Khadija is underneath her. She is the master of all the women of Jannah. Why? Because she is Fatima bad'atun minni. Fatima is a part of me, the Prophet said. Fatima is my blood. Fatima is the flesh of me. Imam Hussein is playing a psychological. He's trying to wake them up. And he's not playing a game with them in a nasty way. He's trying to make them realize what you are doing. He's trying to say to them, once you violate and go past this red line, there's no going back. There's no going back. He turns around and he says to them, he says, "If you listen to my words," he says, "you will be happy with Allah and Allah will be happy with you." But he says, "I swear by Allah, if you do not listen to my words and you do not do justice to me," he says, "Allah will punish you for that. Allah will humiliate you. Allah will expose you." And he says, "Your torment and the ending of your life will be such a life that generations will talk about it." That is why every single person that took part in the Battle of Karbala, that fought Imam Hussain, or every single one of them died a terrible death. Every single one of them died such a death that no one before them had experienced. Every single one. One narration says that one of the Kufans said that every person that took part in the Battle of Karbala, Allah humiliated them. And he says, "That's a lie, I'm alive. I fought in Karbala, I'm not dead, I'm perfect, I'm fine." That moment, something fell onto his beard. He bent down and there was a bit of fire on a candle. The candle fire touched his beard. His beard got on fire. He then began to try to take it off. His entire body was burnt. The people that witnessed this said, "This is the karamat of the Ahlul Bayt." That even him that was boasting and saying what? He was boasting and saying that I have not been killed. Imam Hussain then turns to them and says that if you do not fulfill this, then know my guardian is Allah. My trust is in Allah who sent down the book, and Allah takes care of the righteous. When Zainab hears this, Salamullah alayha, his sister, when Zainab hears these words of her brother, she comes running out of the tent. And she says, the narration says, this is the first time they ever saw Zainab where she did not wear the niqab. RadiAllahu Anhu, because the women of the Ahlul Bayt always cover themselves with the niqab. They cover their face with the veil. Zainab comes out and she cries. She says, "Woe, may Allah's curse be upon you people. Oh my brother, what are you saying? Why don't you turn to Allah and ask Allah for help?" And Imam Hussain turns to his sister who's crying now. He says to his son, Ali Akbar, and he says to Al-Abbas, his brother, he says, "Take her back into the tent." And they take her back to the tent. Imam Hussain turns to the people now and he looks at them, and they're coming forward, but they've all stopped because they're listening to Hussain. They say, the narration says, the Kufan people say, they said, "We have never heard eloquence in our life. In our entire life, we have never heard someone speak so eloquently than that day. Never, either before him or after him, we ever heard anyone speak so unique." Imam Hussain turns to them and says, he says, "Trace my lineage and find out and study, who am I? Who am I?" He's reminding them. He says, "I am the son of Fatima to Zahra." He says, "I am the son of the daughter of your Prophet." He says, "My mother is Fatima." He says, "My father is Ali, the executor of the will of the Prophet. The executor of the will of the Prophet. The first of the believers is my father Ali. He is the first person to become a Muslim amongst all of the Muslims." He says, "Don't you know who I am?" He says, "My uncle is Hamza. He is the master of all the shuhada in Jannah." He says, "My brother is Hassan." He says, "Me and my brother are the masters of all the youth in Jannah." He says to them, "My uncle is Ja'far. And it is that Ja'far who Allah replaced his two arms with two wings, and he is flying this moment in Jannah." He says, "Don't you know who I am?" He says, "Don't you know we are the masters of everyone?" He turns to them and says, "Take a moment, stop, reflect. Just stop for a second and think what you are doing." He says, "I'm not scared of death. I am from the house of Ali. We don't fear anything." But he said, "Think, reflect. What you are walking to hellfire. You are taking a path. By Allah, you will never be able to go back. You will never be able to go back if you violate what you do today." Imam Hussain turns and says, look at the beauty. He says, "If you don't believe who I am, if you don't trust me, then go to Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari, go to Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, go to Zayd bin Arqam, go to Anas bin Malik." He mentioned 5 to 6 Sahaba, Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in. He says, "Go to them and ask them, what I said today, is it the truth or not? Did they not hear directly from the Prophet that the Prophet said, Hassan and Hussain, Sayyid al-Shababi Ahlul Jannah, that Hassan and Hussain are the masters of everyone in Jannah?" He said, "If you don't trust me, go to the Sahaba and ask them who I am. If you doubt," he said, "even if you doubt, is there any doubt in your heart that I am not the son of Fatima?" He says, "Even if you don't trust and believe me, even if you don't trust and believe who my uncles are, even if you don't want to speak to the Sahaba," he says, "I ask you one question, only one question." He says, "Tell me, is there a single person alive today who is the biological son of the Prophet apart from me?" Subhan, look at the beauty. He says, "If you look at the east and you look at the west," he says, "I swear by Allah, you will not find one like me. I am the only one alive now who is the son of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam." Look what he said, "I am the only son alive of the Prophet who is alive now." He says, "Are you going to violate and kill me? Have I killed anyone? Have I murdered anyone? Have I stolen your property? Have I violated you? Have I taken your rights away from you?" He says, "Tell me, for what reason are you fighting me? He says, "For what reason are you keeping me in Karbala? For what reason have you put my wife and my daughters and my sisters and the women of the Ahlul Bayt?" He says, "For what reason have you kept us here? what is the reason? Explain to me. The ulama say, the narration says, when Imam Hussain speaks, not a single person from the enemies could say a word. All of them were looking down. All of them were ashamed of what they were doing. And then Zuhair bin Qayn comes out and he swears and says, Zuhair bin Qayn says, he says, "O Kufans, I swear by Allah, the truth and the heart of the religion is with this man who is the son of the Prophet." He says, we are still Muslims. We have one Quran. We have one religion. But if you violate us, we will not be one. If you violate us, we will not be one. You will be people of hell. We will be people of Jannah. You will be the people who will go to the fire. We will be the people who will go to the Messenger of Allah with his grandson. He says, make your decision. He says, make your decision. What do you want to do? Do you want to be with us, or do you want to be with the enemies? He turns around and says to the people, he says, don't you have any fear of Allah, that you have stopped Imam Hussain from having any water? He says, the river behind you, the pigs and the donkeys can drink from it. He says, the magicians, the idol worshippers, the Jews and the Christians can drink from it, but you will not let Hussain drink from it? He says, how will it be when you go to the Messenger of Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah and you will ask water from the Kawthar? He says, do you think the Prophet will give you a Kawthar? He's trying to remind them. He's trying to put in their heart this love, trying to find some type of fear in them. He says, fear Allah. For if you violate me, for if you violate Hussain, for if you fight against him, Zuhair says, RadiAllahu Anhu, he says, I swear by Allah that there will not be a day that you will ever be able to walk until Allah humiliates you. He says, you will be humiliated in this dunya and you will be humiliated in the next life. He says, you will be used as an example that generations to come will quote you, will use you and curse you. This is the scenario, this is the incident. Imam Hussain is there and the enemies are there. And then there's a man called Hur bin Yazeed, radiallahu anhu warda. Hur is an amazing individual. He's a giant personality and a warrior, and he's a hero of Karbala. He is the one that stopped Imam Hussain with 1,000 men by Ibn Ziyad on this horse. Hur, he begins to behave suspiciously. He goes to Umar bin Sa'ad. He says, "Oh Umar, may Allah make you prosperous. Are you going to fight the son of the Prophet?" He says, why don't you accept the 3 wishes that he gave you? Why don't you accept at least 1 of them? Hur bin Yazeed says, Wallahi, Umar bin Sa'ad says to Hur bin Yazeed, he says, I would accept it, but your governor doesn't accept it. Hur then starts walking towards Imam Hussain. And the narration says he's shaking. And this man's a warrior, he's a lion, he's a fighter. He's known as a fighter amongst whom? He's known as a fighter in warfare. Hur bin Yazeed is a giant personality. And when he's going towards Hussain, his people said to him, "O Hur, O Ibn Yazeed, we see weakness in your feet. By Allah, we have never come across today that we would see you behave in such a way." Hur turns around and doesn't say nothing. They say, "Oh Hur, why are your legs shaking? Why are your feet shaking?" And Hur says, "Wallahi, I don't know. I'm trying to fight with my Iman whether I should take 1 step to Jannah or 1 step to hellfire." He says, "I don't know what to do. Should I go forward to Jannah or should I go back to hellfire?" He says, "By Allah, I will not go hellfire." He runs to Imam Hussain. He runs on the horse to Imam Hussain, and he runs on his horse. He's galloping until he arrives to Imam Hussain. He comes off his horse and he says, "O son of the Prophet, forgive me." Subhanallah. He says, "O son of the Prophet, forgive me, for I did not know that these people would behave in such a manner. I never knew that they would behave in such a way. Forgive me." And he looks at Imam Hussain and he says, "Will Allah forgive me?" He said, "No dhulm, apart from stopping Imam Hussain when he had 1,000 men." He says, "Wallahi, I never thought they would behave in such a way. I thought they would accept you. I thought they would let you get into Kufa And when you went into Kufa, there would be a revolution. I never expected this type of behavior. I never expected it. He turns around and says, what? Look at the beauty. He turns to Imam Hussain and says, oh Hussein, will you forgive me? Will Allah forgive me? Imam Hussain smiles at him and looks at him and says, what is your name? He says, my name is Hur. Imam Hussain says, oh Hur, today you have been born again from your mother. Today you have been born again from your mother. Go, Allah will forgive you. Go and fight amongst the people, the soldiers. Hur says, oh Hussein, I prefer fighting with my horse. I am a fighter. Let me fight with my horse, and afterwards I will fight with these people with my sword. He says, Wallahi, I will use this sword in the way of Allah. And even if it means I be cut in pieces, I prefer to be cut in pieces than facing you. Oh Hussein, forgive me. He says, make sure Allah forgives me. I don't want to die in this battlefield. And Imam Hussain says, Allah has forgiven you already. Allah has forgiven you already. And what does Hur bin Yazeed do? Hur bin Yazeed then turns, look at him. He then turns to the people and says, I am Hur bin Yazeed, you all know who I am. All my people, all my clan, I'm telling you, come running to Hussein. If you want Jannah, come running to him. If you want hellfire, and you want dunya, and you want Yazeed, and you want Ibn Ziyad, then stay where you are for Allah. We will be the victorious people. We will be the people who Allah gives izzah to, respect to. You will not be amongst those people. And what happens? Umar bin Sa'd then calls his servant over, Zuhayd. And Umar bin Sa'd, he shoots an arrow. And Umar bin Sa'd says he's the head of the army, the head of all of the 12,000 men. Umar bin Sa'd said, bear witness that I was the first person to shoot an arrow in Karbala. I was the first person that shot an arrow. And when they shoot the arrow, and Imam Hussain people now shoot back. Both are shooting at each other an arrow. And then a man called Yasser and Salim, two slaves, come out. And they said to Imam Hussain, oh Hussein, send us a one-to-one combatant. Send us a one-to-one person that may fight us. Send us a person who's our equal. Send us a person who is our equal. And then Habib bin Muzahir and Burayr radiallahu anhuma, both of them were going to stand up. Imam Hussain says, sit down. Imam Hussain says, this isn't your job. Sit. Imam Hussain turns to a guy called Abdullah bin Umar al-Kalbi. He's an amazing man. Abdullah bin Umar al-Kalbi is a dark man. Tall, handsome, dark, and extremely strong. What is his story? His wife is called Wahab. He was in Kufa. He saw the army gathered together, and that army was marching. He says to the people, where are they going? They said they're going to go to fight Imam Hussain, the son of Fatima. He turns to his wife and he runs to his wife. He says, the army is going to fight. Wallahi, I wish that I would fight jihad with the son of the Prophet. Subhanallah. He says, I prayed that the day would come that I would be sacrificed for the son of the Prophet ﷺ. He says to his wife, if you agree, let me go and fight. She says, by Allah, you must go, but the condition is you must take me with you. Wow, that is what you call a wife. The wife said, you can go and you can fight and defend Hussein, but the condition is, I have to travel with you. I have to go with you. And he gallops and he travels to Imam Hussain, and he arrived at Karbala on the 9th of Muharram, the night. And Imam Hussain says to him, arise and fight them. Arise, O Abdullah bin Umar al-Kalbi, and fight the enemies. And he comes out, and Yasser, one of the servants, comes across Abdullah bin Umar, and he tries to shoot a sword or hit a sword at a blow at Imam al-Hussain radiallahu ta'ala, at Abdullah bin Umar. Abdullah Umar turns back, he takes his sword and he chops his head off. This is the first enemy to die on the Battle of Karbala. Then his other friend, which was called Salim, he comes behind Abdullah bin Umar Abdullah bin Umar is not aware of him, the Muslims shout and say, look, his servant is coming for you. He looks around, he attacks Abdullah bin Umar. Abdullah bin Umar moves back, puts his fingers out, his fingers are cut off. His fingers are, when Imam Hussain sees that, his wife runs to him. Imam Hussain looks at Abdullah bin Umar, he's killed two of the unbelievers, he's killed them. He's killed two of the enemies. Immediately his wife comes running out of the tent, running to her husband and saying, may Allah reward you, my husband, for Allah made you the first person to kill those who was going to fight the son of the Prophet. She said, this is an honor for us, that my husband is the one who did what? He is the one who killed the enemies on the Battle of Karbala. This is the beauty of this woman. She then says, oh messenger, she said, oh son of the Prophet, allow me and let me fight these people. She's a woman. Imam Hussain says, oh woman, calm yourself. May Allah, Imam Hussain, before he says that, he says, oh family of Abdullah bin Umar, may Allah have mercy on you and may Allah reward you with Jannah. He says, I will testify to my grandfather on the day of judgment and he will definitely intercede for you on my behalf. And I will speak to my grandfather and I will say to Rasulullah that on the day of Karbala, when the battle began, from all the people that stood and fought and respected and kept the izzah of the Muslims was you, Abdullah bin Umar. This is the uniqueness of Abdullah bin Umar. And Abdullah bin Umar kills them. Then you have Amr bin Hajjah. He is in charge of the right wing and he comes running with his battalion to attack Imam al-Hussein's people. Immediately Imam al-Hussein picks up what? They pick up their spears and they stop. When they pick up their spears, the Muslims and shoot arrows and they kill all of the people there. Some narration says they killed all of the horses and many were injured. Nearly 12,000 men against 80 people. Look at the numbers. They say on the Battle of Karbala, the momentum of Imam al-Hussain was such power that even if Imam Hussain only had 1,000 men or even 500 men, he would have defeated them all. Because of the fighting and the willpower of his people. That every person that fought with him said what? They said, we want to sacrifice our life for you, O son of the Prophet. Then a man called, subhanallah, a man called Abdullah bin Hawza, amongst the enemies, he comes out. He says, Aina Hussain? Where is Hussain? Where is Hussain? Where is Hussain? And Imam Hussain says, who is this man? And they told him. Imam Hussain says, I'm here. He says to Imam Hussain, he says, how do you like hellfire? He says, are you going to go hellfire? Do you like hellfire? Imam Hussain says, I swear by Allah, we are going to Jannah and you are going to hellfire. Imam Hussain then raises his hands up. He says, oh Allah, send this person to the hellfire. Immediately that man became angry. He went towards Imam Hussain. He fell off his horse. His foot got stuck in the straps and his horse galloped him across everywhere. His head was hitting the floor, hitting every stone to such an extent there was no flesh left on his head. When the people saw this, they said, we saw the karamat of the Ahlul Bayt. They said, then we realized what? We realized the marvels and the miracles of Hussain. That when Hussain puts his hands up, Allah never turns him away. That was a live miracle on that day, and he humiliated such a person. Then there was a guy called Yazeed bin Martydom, amongst one of the fighters of Umar bin Sa'ad. He comes out and he says, where is Burayr? Burayr is one of the great supporters of Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu. Who is he? He is amongst the senior people that used to be Shaykh al-Qurra of the Quran in Kufa. One of the supporters of Sayyidina Ali and one of the supporters of Imam Hussain. He comes out and he says to Burayr, he says, oh Burayr, do you believe that you are going to Jannah? He said, yes. He says, may Allah's curse be upon you then. Burayr says, no. I challenge you to what? I challenge you both, we both. We seek Allah's punishment upon the liars. Let's pray to Allah and said to Allah, "Oh Allah, whoever is the liar, send your la'na upon a person." Mubalaha, that's what you call it, when you make a challenge to Allah. Both of them turned to Allah and they did the dua. Burair looked at Imam Hussain and said, "You give me permission to fight this evil person?" Hussain said, "Yes." He goes out, and remember, this is a big challenge now, because both have made a challenge to Allah. And this will be something that the people of Yazid could use to try to prove that they were on haqq. But Allah said, "We will never turn away the dua of not only Hussain but the supporters of Hussain." This is Imam Hussain is a person Allah never turns away. This is the supporters of Imam Hussain. He seeks Allah's blessings. He says, "Oh Allah, send your curse upon the liar." He goes out and he strikes him immediately, Yazid, on his helmet. And his sword went through his helmet and went into his brain. And he fell on the ground. When he fell in the ground, a person from behind Burair comes and attacks him with a spear. Yani they're not men. They're not men. They cannot fight one-to-one with the supporters of Hussain. They have to play and behave in a manner which is pathetic, which is a way which is, disgusting, not a way of warfare. Warfare is you fight face to face. That is how men fight. That is how warriors fight. These are the people that did this. He struck him with what? He struck him with the spear, this says. And when the spear went in his back, he pushes the person, he jumps on the person and he's fighting him. And they push the spear even more. Before they push the spear even more, he bit the nose of the person and threw it out. That is how much power and how much audacity this man had to fight on behalf. And then they attacked him. And Burair radiallahu anhu was shaheed at that time. He became martyred. Then you have the martyrdom of Muslim bin Awsaja al-Asadi radiallahu anhu. The enemy Amr bin Hajjaj shouts out and says, Subhanallah, look at this. The enemy now realizes, when the battle is happening, they realize we cannot fight Imam Hussain one-to-one. Don't fight one-to-one combat. They announce and they make an announcement. Amr bin Hajjaj says, if you have to fight this person or you have to fight Hussain, he said, fight them with a force, a collective force. Don't fight one-to-one. And they all come running to attack whom? They come running to attack Imam Hussein's battalion on his right. Imam Hussein's battalion is small in number, but they have the heart of lions. They have the heart of lions, alhamdulillah. And they fight them back. And they fight with such power, audacity, that they move them back. And within that, Muslim bin Awsaja was injured. He was injured. It was a fatality. And before he passed away, he fell to the ground. Imam Hussain ran to him. Imam Hussain, when he saw that his student and his follower had been struck, Imam Hussain runs to him and says, amongst the faithful are men who fulfill what they have pledged to Allah. Of them are some who have fulfilled their pledge, and of them are some who still wait, and they have not wasted or changed in the least. Habib bin Muzahir is bin Imam al-Hussain. Muslim opens his eyes and he looks to Habib and says, whatever happens to me, swear to me you will not leave this man. Even at the moment of dying, when his soul was about to be taken from him, his whole concentration was not about his family or his wealth. He turned to Habib bin Muzahir and said, Habib, promise me that whatever happens, you will protect Hussain. Whatever happens, you will protect and stay with the side of Hussain. And he pointed towards Imam Hussain. When Imam Hussain saw this, Imam Hussain said, may Allah accept you amongst the shuhada, and may Allah accept you amongst those people who defended the progeny of the Prophet, who defended the family of the Prophet ﷺ. Then you have Shimr. When all of this incident is taking place and the Muslims are being attacked from every angle, from every place, Shimr, he's in charge of the left wing. He attacks the Muslims, and Imam Hussein's people fight him back. During this period, Abdullah bin Umair al-Kalbi becomes shaheed. This man who was a tall, dark man, who killed and was the first person to kill anyone on the Battle of Karbala, he becomes shaheed. And when his wife sees him, look at the beauty. When his wife sees him shaheed and he's been killed and he's been martyred on the battlefield, she comes running out of her tent. She runs to him and she grabs his head and she puts his head near her chest and she cries, and then she takes oil and says, enjoy and be happy in Jannah, oh my husband. She says, enjoy and be happy in Jannah, for you defended Hussein. She says, by Allah, I can say that my husband is a martyr. And you know, not the only woman to become shaheed on Karbala was Wahab. She was the only one from all the women. When Shimr saw her, Shimr turned to his servant called Rustam and said to Rustam, pick up this pole and kill that woman. Rustam goes to her and he hits Wahab on the head and he killed her woman. So look, both husband and wife are martyrs in the way of defending the family of the Prophet. Imagine that, dying with the one you love, your wife. And a wife like Wahab, she says, may Allah has granted you paradise. Enjoy Jannah, enjoy your shahadat. She never knew that Allah would make her even a martyr. She never anticipated it, and this is the beauty. When this happens, Shimr then, what does he do? He attempts to burn the tents of Imam Hussain. He goes to the tent of Imam Hussain and he shouts and says, bring me fire, for I want to burn this tent. Imam Hussain turns to him and says, oh cursed one, oh son of the adulterous woman, oh son of that disgusting woman. He said, are you going to kill my women and my children? Don't you have any fear of Allah? Don't you have any type of audacity? Because in them days, you never killed women. You never killed children. It wasn't an honorable thing to do. And then amongst Shimr, two of his supporters said, this is not a good thing you're doing. This is the worst thing that you could do. Don't do it. And he refused and he moved back. He avoided it and he did not burn the tents of Imam Hussain RadiAllahu Anhu warda. Allahu Akbar. Azra bin Qais is in charge of the horsemen of the enemy. And when the Muslims are attacking him, he goes to Umar bin Sa'ad and he says, look at the way the Muslims are fighting. Look at the support and the supporters. Yani how many? 30, less than 40 men with horses. And they have over 1,000. Yet the way that these 30 people are fighting so courageously that they're able to even move their cavalry even further and far. He turns to Imam Hussain and says, he turns to Umar bin Sa'ad and says, why don't you send 500 men, foot soldiers, and get those foot soldiers to shoot arrows at these people? And he sent 500 men and 32 horses. 32 men fighting an army of 1,000 horses. Cavalry. Subhan, cavalry. Look at the cavalry. 1,000. What 32 could achieve, 100 could not achieve on that battlefield. They are fighting courageously, and not from one area. They are fighting in every part of the battle. They are attacking here, they are attacking there, they are attacking here. Imam Hussain is looking at them and he's smiling at them. He's happy. Imam Hussain is overwhelmed with this beauty. And Umar bin Sa'ad sent 500 people. They shoot arrows at these 32 men, and all of their horses were destroyed. All of their horses were wounded. And this is when Hur bin Yazeed becomes shaheed now. When they shoot the arrow at Hur bin Yazeed, at this moment Hur is on the horse. When he's on the horse and he's fighting, the arrow comes and he hits his animal, his horse, in the middle of the head. The narration says Hur bin Yazeed then jumped up like a lion. He jumped off his horse and he had his sword in his hand. The people that saw this, they said, Wallahi, when we saw Hur jump off the horse, they said, we have never seen a brave man like him. They said when he jumped, it showed the strength he had. His friends said that fought with him all his life, his friends that were with him, that supported him, They said that day when Hur bin Yazid jumped off that horse, they said, Wallahi, we have never seen him with such power, such enthusiasm, such willpower, that he jumps off his horse and he begins to attack the enemies, killing many of them until he becomes shaheed, radiallahu ta'ala anhu warda. And then we have Habib bin Muzahir, he becomes shaheed. And then Hur bin Yazid, before he falls and before he becomes shaheed, Imam Hur bin Yazid, he says to Imam Hussain, he says, allow me to take revenge for the death of Habib bin Muzahir. And Imam Hussain agreed. So he jumped off the horse, he was fighting, he came back. Imam Hussain then sent, what's his name, Habib bin Muzahir. Habib bin Muzahir radiallahu anhu warda is fighting, he is martyred on the battle. And Hur bin Yazid says, oh Imam, allow me to become a person who's shaheed. He runs and he fights and he kills many of the people and he becomes shaheed. And the way they killed, the way they made him a shaheed, not a single person was able to fight with him one-to-one. Not a single person had the ability to fight with Hur bin Yazid face to face. How did they martyr him? By an arrow. By a cheap arrow. Because they knew that if we come in front of Hur bin Yazid, then our destination will be hellfire. Our destination will be death. Subhanallah. Then they begin to continue shooting arrows at Imam al-Hussain. Now they're aiming directly at Imam al-Hussain. And when they are shooting arrows directly, Zuhair bin al-Qayn radiallahu anhu warda, he jumps and he runs to Imam al-Hussain and he protects Imam al-Hussain. He opens his arms to shield Imam al-Hussain. He covers Imam al-Hussain, and while fighting, the soldiers of Imam al-Hussain look at him and they look at Zuhair bin Qayn radiallahu anhu warda, and they say, you are the one who guides today. You will be with your grandfather. He's defending Imam al-Hussain. He turns, look what he does. Zuhair bin al-Qayn turns to Imam al-Hussain. He taps Imam al-Hussain on the shoulder and says, oh Hussain, today you will join your grandfather. Or today Hussain, you will join Fatima. Or Hussain, today you will join Ali. Or Hussain, today you will join Hamza. Or Hussain, today you will join Hassan. Or Hussain, today you will join Ja'far. And when you join them, tell them about me. When you meet them, tell these people who was Zuhair bin Qayn. And he radiallahu anhu warda continued fighting until he became a shaheed, until he was a martyr. Even on the battlefield, what is he doing? He is speaking to Imam al-Hussain and saying that where you are going to Jannah. But remember, we are your supporters in this world. Don't leave us when you go to Jannah. Take us with you, and take us with you to the Prophet ﷺ. And present us to the Prophet and say to the Prophet, oh my grandfather, these are the people that defended your Ahlul Bayt with their blood. Subhanallah. And then you have the martyring of a man called Nafi bin Hilali al-Jamali radiallahu anhu. Who is this man, Nafi? He is one of the great fighters of Imam al-Hussain. On the Battle of Karbala, he killed 12 people single-handedly. And no person could apprehend him. He was killing from left to right until both of his arms were broken. Both of his arms were broken. He was decapitated. He was captured, taken to Umar bin Sa'd. Umar bin Sa'd looks at him and says, whoa, what made you fight us? We are relatives. Nafi' says, I swear by Allah, our relative and our blood has no value. I am with Hussain now, and I am with Hussain tomorrow. I will die on this death to be with Hussain. And then Shimr turns and says to Umar, he says, why don't you kill him? Umar says, I won't kill him, you bought him. Why don't you kill him? Shimr goes, look at the disgusting behavior. Nafi turns and cries, he's crying. He says, Wallahi, if only my arms were good. If only my arms weren't broken. He says, I would kill you, O son of an animal. He's speaking to Shimr, and Shimr is about to kill him, and Nafi turns around and says to him, He said, all praise is due to Allah, alhamdulillah, that Allah made me die by that person who is the worst of his creatures on earth. Nafi' said, he says, my death came from that person who is the worst creature, of the creatures of the people. RadiAllahu Anhu. When this incident happens, and many people are becoming shaheed, are becoming martyred, Imam Hussain now changes his strategy. They are not able to defend Imam Hussain now. These people are not able to defend one-to-one Imam Hussain. So what did they say? They said, oh Imam Hussain, give us the permission, allow us to do what? They said, allow us to fight in front of you, and in front of you let us become martyrs. Because now they cannot defend Imam Hussain. Many have become shaheed, many have become martyred. They said, allow us to do what? They said, allow us when Hussain is not there. These people are saying that we want to fight in front of Hussain. We want the world to know how courageous we were. We want the world to know how we fought against the enemies of Allah. We want the world to witness how we fought, and Hussain will be our witness in Yawm al-Qiyamah. That is the difference. All of them are, why are they happy? It makes you think, why are they anticipating happiness? Because every single one is a shaheed. Yes, he's a martyr, number one. Number two, every single one of them is being martyred in front of Imam al-Hussain. And who is praying for them? Imam al-Hussain. Because they don't know whether a janazah will be prayed over them. They don't know whether they will be buried or not. They know they will be violated. They know that their bodies will be mutilated after them. They know that their heads will be decapitated and chopped off. Their heads will be sent to Kufa. Then their heads will be sent to Damascus. But I said, let our heads go to Damascus. Let our heads go to Kufa. But the best quality of life and the best form of dying was dying in front of Hussain. Dying when Hussain was watching me, was looking at me, and knowing that he was happy, and knowing that he grieved for me, knowing that he prayed for me. For Allah knows that on the day of judgment, when we go to his grandfather, we know his grandfather will not turn us away. His grandfather will welcome us with his arms open. Every single one of them became martyred in this way. Every single one. Until no one is left with Imam al-Hussain apart from 16 members of his family. Now you would think they would have some fear of Allah. Because now they haven't attacked Imam al-Hussain. They haven't attacked the Ahlul Bayt. Until this moment, they've been fighting whom? They've been fighting the soldiers and the supporters. You would think their heart would have some fear of Allah. You would think their heart would have some form of taqwa or reminders or remembrance of Allah. But their hearts are black. That is what happens when your heart becomes black. You don't realize that when you become enemies of the Ahlul Bayt, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? He says, teach your kids 3 things. Teach your kids. And one of the things he said was teaching the Quran. And one of the other things, what did the Prophet say? He says, teach your kids the love of the Ahlul Bayt. If you have children, my dear respectful brothers, I'm going to continue the other part after Salatul Isha. But if you have kids, if you have nephews and nieces, teach them the love of the Ahlul Bayt. The Prophet told you this. Teach your kids why we gather for the 10 days of Ashura. Teach your kids who was Hassan. Teach them who was Hussain. Teach them who was Fatima. Who was the daughters of the Prophet. Teach them who was the family. Who was Ali. Put into their life the love of the Ahlul Bayt. Revive the love of the Prophet's family in this day. One of the tribulations of our day now is that the love of the Prophet's family, somehow when you praise and love them, people began to point fingers to you. Let them point fingers to you. Say to them, like those who pointed fingers to Hussain and his supporters at Karbala, we are the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt. Support them. The Prophet said what in the hadith? He said, only a believer will love my family. The Prophet said clear. He said, Wallahi, I swear by Allah who sent me with the truth, not a single person will taste or smell the perfume of Jannah who has hatred for my family. Who has hatred for my family. The Prophet said, oh Allah, love those who love me. Oh Allah, love those who love my family, and hate those who hate my family, and fight those who fight my family. That's why the Prophet said, Hussein minni wa ana min Hussein. Hussein is from me and I am from Hussein. It's in Tirmidhi, it's hadith sahih. It's an authentic hadith. He says, oh Allah, love Hussein and love those who love Hussein. Allah hate those who hate Hussein and fight those who fight him. So you have to ask, do you love Hussein? Is your love for the Prophet's family that type of love, that you love them with pure love, that when you remember their name, tears come from your eyes? Remember what I mentioned yesterday, my final point before we go towards the Adhan. You remember the hadith that the people are going to Jannah, but they are called back. For what reason? The angels are saying, what was your love of the Ahlul Bayt like? To get to Jannah, you need these people. You need these people. And remember every single hadith that the Prophet mentions about his family, the first people he is addressing are his Sahaba. His Sahaba are that people like Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who is cleaning the shoes of Hussein. This is the position of the Ahlul Bayt. Don't let people tell you, don't let people try to preach to you or try to assume to you and say the Ahlul Bayt are no, they're not normal people, they're special people. The blood that they have in their body is so unique that we love and we honor them. We love and may Allah put into our life that type of love. And inshallah, when we come back after Salatul Isha, we will then continue on the martyring of all the family of Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu, and then we will talk about how Imam Hussain himself was martyred. What was the circumstance in that? And then inshallah ta'ala, we will conclude. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept what we've done today. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Being given this, the brothers, the following brothers, Brother Zia, Sajjad, Umar and Nadeem, are providing refreshments after today's program. So you're all welcome to take part in that inshallah after the program. My dear respect for may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept their kind khidmah inshallah and reward him for their goodness inshallah. You know, speaking about this incident of the Karbala, the battle specifically, is very heart-aching for anyone. And it's one of the things that when you do research, specifically reading it, it really tears your heart away that 51 years after the Prophet ﷺ, that people could do such a brutal thing to murder those things that were the most beloved things to the Prophet ﷺ. It really troubles you when you reflect, specifically when you reflect upon the life of these honorable people. Nowadays you wouldn't do dhulm upon anyone, any person, any Muslim or even a non-Muslim. There's some type of insanity, there's some type of humanity in you. You have some type of fear that, you know, when you oppress someone, but to go to such an extreme where you know who these people are, you know that they are the people of Jannah, you know that in order for you to get to Jannah, I mean, it makes you think, because sometimes I reflect and I read, and I was reading Ibn Athir yesterday, or this morning at Fajr, after Fajr, and I was astonished by people like Shimmer. I was like, don't they have any, I mean, what type of heart do they have? I mean, we come 1400 years afterwards, and when we mention the Imam of the Ahlul Bayt, we mention it with so much love and affection that tears come from our eyes. When we remember Hassan, when we remember Hussein, when we remember Fatima, when we remember these people, tears are just coming out our eyes, and it just makes you think, how could they do it? It's really a shocking type of thing, and a shocking type of behavior by brutal people, brutal individuals. And it really reflects upon the hadith of Rasul who said that there will be people in my ummah who will be fools. Their rule will be foolishness, and he said their hearts will be of blackness. He says that, you know, and the Prophet also said in another hadith, he said there will come a time when people would read the Quran, but it will not affect them. There will be no effect. The people would read the Quran, but it doesn't affect them. And when these people were not reading the Quran, they were seeing the Quran. Because the life of Imam Hussain, he is the living example of the Quran. He lives the Quran in his behavior. You know, there's not one single example from the books of Tariq, from the Mu'arriqeen, from the historians, that shows Imam Hussain in any negative light. His behavior, his adab, his respect, his beauty of speaking. Even on the battlefield, the last moment, he's telling them, fear Allah, don't you know who I am? You know, are you going to violate me? And it just makes you think how, and that is the reason why the Prophet's dua was not accepted. Remember, the Prophet asked 3 du'as from Allah. One of the du'as was, oh Allah, accept that my ummah does not kill each other. And Allah never accepted that prayer. And it wasn't because of the Prophet. Many ignorant people claim that, but it wasn't. It was an indication that these things would happen. And that is why Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari, in his famous book called Al-Maqalat al-Islamiyyin, it's a renowned text, it's a renowned book, which is available only, unfortunately, in Arabic. But he says in that the greatest catastrophe that fell upon mankind was the catastrophe of Karbala on the 61 of Hijri. And 82 or 88 members, innocent people, were murdered. For what reason? Because they didn't want to give their hands in the hands of a tyrant. So people nowadays want to learn and want to revive that. The way of reviving that, if you want to know what Imam Hussain stands for, he stands for justice. He stands for real adl, real humanity, real life, real passion. And that should be a reason for us to remember. These days of 10th of Muharram, unfortunately only one type of sect talk about it. And we leave it to them. And we don't do anything in Muharram. We think, oh, if we do Muharram, then we are Ma'azallah. People say we are Shia. And we just need this to, you know, Imam Hussain is our Imam. And especially during these 10 days, you should sit with your kids. I deal with 3 of my sons. Well, 2 of them. My youngest one is only 1 year old. But my other 2 sons, I sit with them and I teach them who are the Ahlul Bayt. I teach them who the Panjatan Paka, who are the Sahaba, who are the wives of the Prophet. I teach them the reason we believe in them, the reason we love them, and you should make an effort after this. If you can learn something from these 9 days, we're coming to 10 days tomorrow. 9-day marathon, alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair for all the people that came every single day. It's a hard thing to do. But if you can learn something from this method, I would say the biggest lesson is teach your kids the love and the life of the Ahlul Bayt. Really teach them that. Teach that, remind them that we don't leave the Ahlul Bayt. We are from the Ahlul Bayt. We love the Ahlul Bayt. The Ahlul Bayt they're our leaders. It doesn't belong to the Shia. The Shia, that's their Aqidah. We respect them. You know, fine, we disagree with them. That's their belief. But that doesn't mean because we believe in the Ahlul Bayt now, that because, for example, the Shia pit, for example, the brother asked me a question, or the Shia, they hit themselves. It doesn't matter what they do, we will not leave the Ahlul Bayt. Because our Aqidah is with the Ahlul Bayt. We're not going to leave the Ahlul. It's like saying, oh, the Jews and the Christians, they say Isa is the son of God. So because of that reason, we're going to leave Isa. Do you leave Isa? We don't. We love him even more. So please, one of the things that you should do, if you learn anything, and I hope this is a lesson for me, is ignite the muhabba of the Ahlul Bayt in your communities. Because when you revive that muhabba, specifically the muhabba of the Ahlul Bayt, you will see a lot of blessings in your life, a lot of things changing. So we come back to the Battle of Karbala. Subhanallah, every single one of them is martyred now. There's no one left. You know, 32 horsemen have gone. Every single one. The narration says only 16 people are left with Imam al-Hussain. And every single one was martyred in front of his own honorable beautiful eyes. It's like he was saying that he was going to stand in front of Rasulullah and tell Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, these are the people from your ummah that defended the son of the daughter of your Prophet. Imagine that incident. Imagine being in Jannah. Imagine going to Rasulullah and saying to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, I was amongst those people in Karbala that fought with my blood and I sacrificed myself. For what reason? So that the honor of the Ahlul Bayt could live on. Because if no one fought with them, and Imam Hussain did give the bay'ah to Yazeed, the Ahlul Bayt would not be loved today. They are loved today for what reason? Because of that stance against hypocrisy, against dictatorship. So everyone's gone, there's no one left. The women are behind Imam Hussain. They're in their tents. Zainab's crying. She's the Imam Hussain. She's the Izzah of Ali radiallahu anhu. She's the daughter of Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. And the ulama say in Tariq, they say if you want to see a woman that resembles, let me put it another way. Aisha radiallahu anha narrated in Bukhari, she said, Wallahi, from every single person, the person who resembled the Prophet the most in his behavior and in his sunnah was Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. From everyone. And then they say what the ulama say, they say from everyone that the person or the woman that resembled Fatima the most was her beautiful and beloved daughter Zainab. And imagine that, try to imagine that scene where you are on Karbala. Imagine you are there, where 12,000 army forces are there. They want your blood, they want the blood of Rasulullah's son. You know, not anyone. This is a unique man. He is the only one alive at that time who is the son of the Prophet. And they want his blood. And then you have behind him, imagine the Iman of Imam Hussain. It really troubles me. Sometimes I sit and I think, SubhanAllah, what a man. What a greatness. If you want to see greatness, you know, don't look at Genghis Khan. Even though he was a great fighter, he was, there's not a lie. But if you want to see greatness, look at Hussain. His family in front of his own eyes, all of his students that loved him, supported him, that traveled and left Mecca with him, unconditional, they're all been martyred in front of him. All of them have been martyred, murdered, killed. For what reason? For only one reason, that they want to defend him. And he tells them, leave me, don't defend me. He says, if you leave me on the night, he said, if you leave me, I forgive all of you. And wallahi, I will not hold this against you, but I will tell Rasulullah of your duty to me. Even if you leave me, but he never. And everyone's gone. And now imagine that scene that you're there, that you've got Imam Hussain there, behind him are his women. Behind him is his wife, Rubab radiallahu anha. Behind him is Sukaina, his honorable, beautiful daughter. Behind him is Zainab. Behind him are the servants of the Ahlul Bayt, the house of the Prophet. Behind him is Zainul Abidin. Imagine that, just reflect upon it. This is what you call the peak of beauty of Islam. The real meaning of what life stands for. They represent real life. They represent the Sunnah and they represent the Quran. The Quran, that's why the Prophet said what? I leave two things behind for you. The Quran, وَإِتْرِ أَهْلِ بَيْتِهِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ تَقْلُفُونِ فِيهِمَا. Be careful how you treat them after me, the Prophet said. Because he knew how the Ummah would be towards them. Imagine that scene. So Imam Hussain is standing there now. All of his students, all of his supporters, his followers have all been martyred. There's no Zuhair left. There's no Habib left. There's no Abdullah bin Umar al-Kalbi left. There's no one left apart from his family. Now we look at Dizzy and how he sacrifices, or how the Ahlul Bayt sacrifice their life to protect their leader, Hussain. It's unique. It really makes it amazing. And the first person to fight from his family. So the incident is what? Imam Hussain is standing, is on his horse. The narration says, behind him are his family now. His cousins, his nephews, his sons, his brothers, members of the children of Abdul Muttalib are there with him. The warriors and the lions of Abdul Muttalib are standing together and saying, oh Hussain, even at this moment, we prefer death rather than living. Even if you kill us 1,000 times, we would love to die 1,000 times in the honor of Hussain. This is what they said. They said we would prefer that. And behind him are the tents of his family, and behind the tent is the fire. And Imam Hussain, who is the first person, is Ali Akbar. Subhanallah. His eldest son. The eldest son of Hussain is 19 years old. And the narration says that wallahi, he was extremely handsome. They said if you wanted to look at beauty, look at Ali Akbar. 19 years old, a beautiful person, a young man, And he comes out and he says to his father, he goes to his father, Al-Hussein radiallahu anhu. He says, oh my father, give me permission to leave you to fight these people. Let me go and fight for you and protect the honor of who you are. Imam Hussein looks at his own blood. His own blood. And Hussein cries and says, go my son, for Allah will be a witness to you, and I will witness, and I will go to your grandfather, and I will tell your grandfather the sacrifice you made. And he fights, and he's fighting on that battlefield, and he's fighting like a lion. Why? Because he is the grandson of a lion. He's the son of Ali, Asadullah al-Ghalib. He is the son of Ali, Sher Khuda, Mushkil Kusha, Bab al-Ilm, Man kunta mawla fahadan Ali al-Mawla. That is who his father is. That is who his grandfather. And he's fighting until Murra bin Munqad ala la'natullah wa alayh strikes him from behind. You see, they can't fight him face to face. So they strike him from behind. And when he falls, Imam Hussein sees his flesh, his blood. The first member of his family to become shaheed, the first member of the members of the Ahlul Bayt that was sacrificed in the way of Allah was Ali al-Akbar. And when Hussein sees him, Imam Hussein runs to him and he grabs his son. He looks to him and he smiles and he cries and he turns to Allah. He says, oh Allah, destroy these people for what they have done to the progeny of your Prophet. He turns to Allah and he says, oh Allah, destroy these people for what they have done to your son. And then he turns around and he says how courageous they are. Look at Imam Hussein. He says how courageous these people are, that they are fighting the progeny and the ithri of the Ahlul Bayt. He says this is how courageous they are. And when Imam Hussein is praying, he looks to his son and he says, Asbir ya ibnihi, oh have patience my son, for Allah will guarantee you Jannah, and you will join your great grandfathers. You will join Rasulullah and you will be with him, and he will take revenge on your behalf of these evil people doers. And Imam Hussein is crying immensely, not because he's upset because of this. He's upset, why? Because of the violation that they are doing towards the Ahlul Bayt. He never expected this. You never expect people to be so low that they would do such a thing. And when he passes away, RadiAllahu Anhu, Ali Akbar is the first member from the Ahlul Bayt that was shaheed, that was martyred on that day. And when he passes away, Zainab comes running out of her tent. She said, oh my brother, oh my nephew, may Allah destroy all of you people, for what have you done to my nephew? She runs to Imam Hussein, and Imam Hussein grabs and says to her, go back. And then he calls Abbas, his brother, and he calls Ja'far and Aun and Muhammad, his nephews, and says, take the honorable body of your brother and take him to where the rest of the shuhada are. Imagine that scene, losing someone, such a person. And then all of the children of Muslim bin Aqil, all of his children, the great companion, the great support of Hussein, Hussein's ears, Hussein's eyes. He hears for Hussein, he listens for Hussein, he walks for Hussein, he dies for Hussein in Kufa. He lived for Hussein, he looked for Hussein, he heard for Hussein, he spoke for Hussein, he lived for Hussein, and he died for Hussein. That's what you call a cousin. May Allah give us all cousins like that people. All of his children come out and say, oh my uncle, give us permission so that we may go to the enemies of Allah and fight them, so that we may join our father in Jannah. They said, we don't want to live on this earth, we want to leave and we want to join our father. And every single one of them becomes a shaheed. Every single one of them becomes a martyr. And then, subhanallah, then Imam Hussein's nephew comes, Qasim bin Hassan bin Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ridwan Allahum alayhim ajma'in. Qasim is the son of Imam Hassan. Who is Imam Hassan? The narration says in Bukhari that if you ever wanted to look at someone who resembled the Prophet identically, face from his head up to the middle of his body, from top to bottom, the one who resembled the Prophet the most was Hassan al-Mujtaba. The Sahaba used to say, when people would come to them and say, oh Sahaba, oh Abu Huraira, oh Anas ibn Malik, tell us and describe the Prophet to us. What did the Prophet look like? What was his eyes like? What was his body like? What was his skin like? How did he talk? How did he walk? How did he run? What was he like? What was his body? And Imam Anas bin Malik was said, you see that man? That is how the Prophet. If you want to see the Prophet, look at him. He was identical. Al-Qasim was his son. Al-Qasim was an identical replica of his father. In beauty, in manners, Al-Qasim is extremely handsome. Extremely handsome. The ulama say that when Qasim came on the battlefield, he says the Kufans were taken back with beauty. The Kufans had not seen beauty. He came out with what? He had one shirt on, no body armor. He says, I am the son of Ali. He says, my father is Hassan, my uncle is Hussein. He says, my father and my uncle are the masters of everyone in Jannah. My grandfather is Ali, the line of Allah. I don't need a shield. He doesn't require a shield. He's wearing a shirt, he's wearing trousers, and he's wearing sandals. Look at his armory, look at it. And he goes to his uncle and he loved Hussein RadiAllahu Anhu. Imam Hussein loved him so much. Imam Hussein used to say that because Imam Hussein missed his brother Hassan RadiAllahu Anhu, who passed away, was poisoned by Yazeed. Yazeed poisoned him through his wife. Imam Hussein used to love his brother and miss him. And he said, whenever I used to miss my brother and remember it, I would look at Qasim. When I would look at Qasim, I would remember my brother. He says, some type of tranquility would come into my body. I would look at my nephew. That is the love he had. And Qasim says, oh my uncle, give me permission to fight these evil people. And he runs and he fights in the battle. He's energetic, he's fighting again. He is the son of the line of Allah. None of the members, of the male members of the Ahlul Bayt are afraid to fight. Every single member of the Prophet's family who have his blood in his body, that have the blood of Ali in them, have the courage of Ali in them, have the power of Ali in them, have the knowledge of Ali in them, have the beauty of Ali in them. Imagine that beauty, that if you want to look at them, you remember Ali. Subhanallah. Deen is Ali. Living is for Ali. Dying is for Ali radiallahu anhu. This is who these people were. And when Qasim bin Hassan radiallahu anhu, he says to his uncle, give me permission to fight these people. He fights courageously. He fights so courageously that from the Kufans, a man called Amr bin Sa'ad, he looks at him and he says, by Allah, I will kill this young man today. La'na upon such a person who said that he's going to kill that one who is the son of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. Imagine that. And he strikes Imam Hassan, Imam Qasim bin Hassan, and he falls and he says, Ya Amma, oh my uncle, oh my uncle. He's shouting Hussein. On the battlefield, he shouts at Imam al-Hussein. And Imam Hussein, when he sees his nephew, who he loves, falls, they say Hussein, who was tired, for 3 days he had no water, not a sip of water. They said it felt like energy had got into him. Imam Hussein rushed towards the enemies and he fought them, and all of them ran away from Qasim bin Hassan radiallahu anhu. Imam Hussein goes to his nephew. Look at the beauty now. He goes to his nephew and he looks at his face and he cries. Imam Hussein says, oh my nephew, how incapacitated am I? How unuseful I am today that I am not able to reply to your call. You called your uncle, but your uncle cannot help you. He said, but I swear by Allah, oh my nephew, today you will not need to call anyone after today. He says, I am upset that you called me, that I am not able to respond to your call. He says, oh my nephew, I swear by Allah, your father and your uncle, me and Hussein, I have many enemies but I have few friends. He says, I'm not able to defend you, I'm not able to help you, I'm not able to defend you that you called your uncle. And whenever you called him in your life, whenever you wanted me, Al-Hussein was there for you. When your father passed away, I was there for you. And your father put me in his place and said, love my children like you love your own. This is Imam Hussein. He says, but today this is what he says. He says, today how useless I am that I am not able to reply and answer the call of my nephew. But he says, I swear by Allah, oh Allah, he puts his hands up Imam Hussain. He says, oh Allah, destroy every single one of them. Oh Allah, destroy every single one of them. Humiliate them and give them a death that will be remembered. Let the world remember the death that will come to them. He turns to him and he says, oh Hassan, oh Qasim, I swear to you by Allah that you will go to your grandfather Rasulullah. I will go to your grandfather and I will tell your grandfather how the oppressors did zulm on you. And while Imam Hussain was praying, he passed away. Qasim, a giant personality amongst his people. And Imam Hussain, when he saw this, he cried. He cried immensely for Imam Hassan, for Qasim radiallahu anhu, that this is my son, the son of my brother. From all situations, he loved him the most. Radiallahu anhu wardah. Subhanallah. And then Imam Hussain is overtaken with pain that he goes to the tent of his wife. And he sits there and he's disturbed and he's crying that this is the zulm they've done upon me. That they're murdering the family of the Prophet. And he turns to Allah, he says, oh Allah, where is your help? Oh Allah, if you do not send help, they will kill every one of us. But oh Allah, we accept your qada. Look at the iman of Imam Hassan. Imam Hussain at the last moment, even in such a dire situation, he turns to Allah and he says, what? He says, oh Allah, if we don't send someone, they will kill all the Ahlul Bayt. There will not be a member there. But if you do not decree us, or if you do not send us help, we accept your qada, Allah. We submit to your... And Imam Hussain now realizes everyone has passed away. He has a handful of people with him. He realizes his time has come. He picks his son up, Ali Asghar. Subhanallah. One narration says he's 4 years old. One narration says he's 9 months old. Mukhtalif narrations. Imam Hussain picks his child up, 8 months old, a baby. And he looks at him and he smiles and he kisses him, he hugs him. A baby, Ali Asghar, the son of the Prophet, the grandson of Fatima to Zahra, Salamullah alayha. And he looks at him and he's smiling, and immediately a man from Banu Asad threw an arrow and the arrow hit him in his neck. A baby, this is the zulm that these people were perpetrating on these people. And when they penetrated his neck, Imam Hassan looked at his son, his baby son. He's lost his elder son Ali Akbar. He's lost his nephew who was his son. Now his baby who he loved. He looks at the baby. Look what he does, subhanAllah. This is Iman. He puts the baby down. He holds the blood in his hand. The blood. He says, oh Allah, if you don't send help, what will happen? Oh Allah, destroy these people. Oh Allah, humiliate these people. Look what they are doing to your progeny, oh Allah. Look what they're doing to the progeny of your Prophet. Look how they violated us. Oh Allah, destroy these people. Allahu Akbar. And then every single one of them has gone. Not one of the shuhada are left there. Imam Hussain is by himself. The lion of Allah. The Kufans said, they said, we have never seen a man who fought like Hussain, either before him or after him. One narration said that Hussain fought in such a way that some of the Kufans that fought with his father, they said, we remembered Ali on that day. We saw the spirit of Ali in him. They said we saw the velocity of him fighting and going against enemies. And Imam Hussain is extremely thirsty. Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussain is extremely thirsty. That Imam Hussain, what does he do? He goes towards the river. Allahu Akbar. He goes towards the river to drink something from there. And when Hussain bin Tamim, one of the head of Ibn Ziyad, he sees Hussain going, he throws an arrow and he hits Imam Hussain on the face. He hits Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain removes the arrow and he has blood falling from him. And Imam Hussain says, oh Allah, look what they are doing. Oh Allah, humiliate these people. Oh Allah, look what they have done. They have violated Hussain. They have violated the son of Fatima. Oh Allah, witness today, oh mankind, witness today what these evildoers have done to the son of Hussain. Look what they have done to the son of the daughter of Rasulullah. Look at how Fatima would have, imagine the pain of Sayyidah Fatima, seeing her son in such a state. And Hussain, a man who stands for justice, a man who stands for haqq against batil. And when they see Al-Hussein, Imam Hussein says, give me water, give me water. And when they refuse, he says, how will you go to my grandfather Yawm al-Qiyamah? You refuse to give me water. How will you stand in front of my grandfather Rasulullah and ask him for water from Al-Kawthar? He says, how will you do that? Imam Hussein is still fighting as a lion. And the people who are there, none of them want to go forward to murder him. None of them want to go forward to attack him. One narration says that they shot so many arrows at Hussein that his back was like a hedgehog. His whole back was full of arrows. One narration says, Wallahu Alam, Imam Hussein's body was violated. That body that used to jump on the shoulders of the Prophet. Imagine that, that body that was the most beloved thing to Rasulullah at that time. The most beloved thing. And Imam Hussein, when they refused to give him water, Imam Hussein is still fighting against them. And then Shimr, the disgusting individual Shimr, comes with 10 people. And when Shimr comes to him, Shimr says to the people, may Allah deprive you of your mothers. Why are you scared? Why don't you go and attack and kill Hussein? Imam Hussein looks to him and says, Wallahi, today the prophecy of the Prophet came true. The Prophet said there will come a time that a white dog will be sniffing at the blood of my family. He says, you are that white dog, O Shimr. You are that white dog that my grandfather said that there will come a time that a white dog will be sniffing at the blood of my family. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Still they have no iman. And then they attack Imam Hussein. How? They hit him once with one blow on his shoulder and they cut him and he fell to the ground. Even when he fell to the ground, he's praying to Allah. He's telling them, don't violate, you know who I am. And when he realizes that these people have no iman, Hussein is saying, Ya, oh Allah, bear witness to what they are doing to me. Bear witness to what they are doing to the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa sallam. And what did they do then? They hit a spear from the back and into the front part of Hussein. And when they hit the spear Imam Hussein, that's when Imam Hussein fell on the ground. And they weren't happy with that. That wasn't enough for them. That wasn't enough dhulm that they perpetrated against Ahlul Bayt. What did they do then? They went to him and said, hold him, for we want to cut the head of Hussein. And they cut the head of Hussein and they held it up. This was the head that used to kiss the lips of the Prophet. Wow. This was the head that Fatima used to cover. Hey, imagine that. Fatima to Zahra radiallahu anha, she used to cover his head. And these people are violating him. Hussein turns around and says, imagine that, these are the lips that used to kiss the lips of the Prophet. Allahu Akbar. Look at the dhulm they're doing. And they're priding Hussein's head. They take Hussein's shirt, they take his shoes, they leave Imam Hussein naked on the body, on the Battle of Karbala. This is the people, this is the iman that they have. Subhanallah. This is the dhulm. And they're not, that's not enough. That's not, and what do they do then? They take 12 horses and they strap and they ride and they ride over the body of Hussein, breaking every body in his body. They stamp on him in such a force that even the flesh of Hussein leaves his body. This is the son of the Prophet. How will you stand in front of the Prophet and say, this is the dhulm I did? And when they do this, that's when Zainab looks. And Zainab says, Ya Muhammada, Ya Muhammada, Ya Muhammada. Oh Muhammad, look at what they have done to your son Hussein. Zainab comes out and says, oh Rasulullah, look at what they have done to your family. Look what they did to Hussein. Look at what they did to the body of Hussein. She turns around and says, oh Messenger of Allah, look, they have made us captives. They have removed the veil from our faces. They have removed our clothes. Look at what they have done to your daughters, Ya Rasulullah. This is the dhulm that was perpetrated on these people. This is the dhulm that was perpetrated on the Ahlul Bayt. Ridwanullahu alayhim ajma'in. And now you have people who have the audacity. People that have the audacity to say that Hussein was wrong. A'udhu billah. This is what you call right? If this is the deen, if this is the deen that you want us to follow, you want us to follow Yazeed, you want us to drink alcohol, you want us to support Yazeed and say RadiAllahu Anhu after a cursed man, and you want us to leave the son of the Prophet. Sharam karo yaar. Fear Allah. You will die one day. You will go in your graves one day. You will rise one day and you will be in front of the Prophet. How will you show your face today and say, Ya Rasulullah, I believe Hussain was a baghi, a'udhu billah. I believe Hussain was wrong and Yazeed was right. Save your iman from such people. Save your iman from such wretched people who try to take your iman and put it within that evenness of saying to you that this is haq. This is not haq. Haq was with Hussain. Hussain lived for Islam. Hussain died for Islam. And Hussain is remembered today until Yawm al-Qiyamah. For what reason? Because Yazeed was killed on that day. It was really the death of Yazeed that died on that. Hussain never died. Hussain lived on that day. Today, millions of Muslims around the world, when they name their children, they name them Hussain. Today, millions of people around the world at this day, in these days, are remembering Hussain. Today, even the brothers went out and bought refreshment. For what reason? For the blessing of Imam Hussain. Not for me, not for you, not for the masjid, but for what reason? To say to people that this is the gathering of Hussain. So put in your life, my brothers, we conclude with this. Put into your life the love of Hussain. Know that Hussain never went to Karbala for a political war. Karbala is not a political war. Shame on those people who say Imam Hussain was a politician. Shame on you. You should do tawbah. You should seek Allah's forgiveness for what you say. For what you say will be a witness against you. Stand with the Ahlul Bayt. Love the Ahlul Bayt. Don't allow anyone to tell you anything less upon the Ahlul Bayt. And remember what the Prophet said. He says, Man ahabbani, whoever loves me, وَحَبَّ هَذَانِ وَعَشَارَ إِلَى حَسَّنِ وَالْحُسَيْنِ, and whoever loves Hassan, whoever loves Hussain, وَأَبَاهُمَا, and loves their father, وَأُمَّاهُمَا, and loves their mother. The Prophet said, if you love these 5 people, who we call the Panchtanvar in Persian, who we call Ahlul Kissa, the 5 people who were under the chadar, who were under the cloth of the Prophet ﷺ, if you love them, just by loving them, what is your reward? The Prophet said, Kana ma'i fi darajati yawm al-qiyamah. Wallahi, you will be with me on yawm al-qiyamah. If you want to be with the Prophet, love Hussain. If you want to be with the Prophet, hate Yazeed. If you want to be with Hussain, love him. And that is why the ulama say, what did Taftazani say, rahmatul alayh, the great Imam Sa'ad al-Taftazani says, La natawakkufi. Shame on these people now. There are people nowadays who say, oh, we don't speak about Karbala, it's controversial. We don't want to speak about the dhulm of the Ahlul Bayt because of some controversy. Listen to what the line of Allah said. Sa'ad al-Taftazani, the great Imam, he said, La natawakkufu fi shanihi. We will not keep silent what Yazeed did to Hussain. We will not keep silent upon the dhulm on the Ahlul Bayt. But we will not even keep quiet on calling Yazeed a kafir. He is a non-Muslim. La'natullahu alayhi. May Allah's la'na be upon him. Wa'ansarihi, and upon his helpers. Wa'awanihi, and his supporters. May Allah put into our heart the love of the Ahlul Bayt. And may Allah reward us for our gatherings, inshallah. If you have any questions at all, inshallah. Anyway, was 72 in total. 72. Imam Hussain were 88 people that passed away. 72 was his followers and 16 were members of his family, which came to 88 of Imam Hussain. The number of people that passed away. 72. Some narration says 100. There's another narration by Ibn Atir which says 120. But the most authentic is 72. Oh yes, 72 of the enemies in total. 72, that's the narration I got. Some people say Imam Hussain was 72. Imam Hussain was 88 people in total. Imam Hussain went to Karbala with 72 people. 16 on top of that were his family members that were not added on that. People don't add that on that. In total, Imam Hussain had 88 people with him. And that's 88 that was shaheed. And then adding Wahab, the female that was martyred, the wife of Abdullah bin Umar al-Kalbi. So that's another member that was shaheed on that day too. Imam Zain al-Abidin was the middle brother. So he was older than Ali Asghar. He had a severe fever. He was extremely ill. And because of that reason, the Ahlul Bayt are alive today. Because from him is the family of the Hussaini Ahlul Bayt. Because he was extremely ill, he was survived. And tomorrow we will discuss briefly what he said in the court of Yazeed and so forth. But he survived, and from him he had sons. His eldest son was called Imam Zaid. Zaid is the great. He is the Shaykh of Abu Hanifa, Imam Abu Hanifa's teacher. And then he had a son called Imam Baqir, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir radiallahu anhu. His son was called Imam Jafar Sadiq, and so forth. And he had a son called Musa Kadhim. So, and these are the 12 Imams of the Ahlul Bayt. And that is the reason why till this day we have them alive today, alhamdulillah. Because of that reason. Brother, the point is, it doesn't matter what the Shia do right or wrong, that's not our concern.
That is not my question. The question is, how do we stop our children to support that? We have people amongst us who are delivering that and sending the request to Allah. But to deliver that, how do you stop these children to support that?
By teaching them the real lives of the Ahlul Bayt.
Can you teach them now?
We've been doing it for 10 days.
Sorry?
We've been doing it for 10 days.
Okay, I must be asking you to do it.
We do it every Jummah khutbah. We do it in teaching our classes.
No.
My question is, let me answer you. Give me a few minutes. Give me a few moments. Let me answer. Your question is, brother, it's a valid question. How do we keep our children protected from these people? And not just them, protected from every bad mazhab and every bad aqidah. It's not the Shia. It's Wahhabis, it's Salafis, it's Ikhwanis, everyone. The way that you protect them is by teaching them their real aqidah, which we are doing, alhamdulillah. I've only been here for 2 months, okay, but we are attempting to teach them their real aqidah. Not just believing, we are teaching them why and what is the difference between us and the Salafis. Because they need to know that, because when they grow up, they will know. We don't believe Allah has a body, they believe Allah has a body. We don't believe Allah has hands, they believe Allah has hands. So we need to teach our kids that. And my students are at the back, you can ask them, that's what we are teaching. We are sitting with them and teaching them the real aqidah. I'm teaching my classes why extremism is wrong, why terrorism is wrong, why we don't support these things. But it's not my job, it's your job too, as a parent. It's a joint responsibility.
I personally don't know that job unless you tell me that, yes, we support them or not. Do we support them because we have them around us, not only regionally.
I don't understand what you mean around us, brother. I don't. Be a bit more specific.
This pointless by the Shias. Yes, they are saying that they are doing it in lots of the Ahlul. Yes or no? They're doing it on the
Look, brother. Let me explain to you one thing. Whether Shia or not Shia, they can do whatever they want to do. For us, we love the Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because the Quran told us. The Quran made it clear, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمُوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. Allah said in the Quran that say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I do not ask anything in return from you apart from loving my family. Loving the Prophet's family is obligation like reading namaz. It is obligation. Now if the Shia love the Prophet's family in a certain way, which we don't love them, that's got nothing to do with us. That's their own aqidah to them. If the Salafis love the Ahlul Bayt in their own way, good luck to them, that's their own aqidah. But what will we do? What is our job? Our job is to teach them the love of the Ahlul Bayt according to Ahle Sunnah Wal Jammah. We will not compromise on that. We will not say that we will not teach the law of the Prophet's family. Why? Because the Shia are doing that. You understand? We don't do that. We don't say, oh, I'm not going to teach my kids the law of Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because Shia are doing the same. No, this is not possible. The Christians are preaching about Isa, and they say we love Isa. Any ideal example. The Christians say we love Jesus, we say we love Jesus. We say he's a prophet of God, they say he's the son of God. Does that mean now we abandon Isa now? No, we don't abandon him. And do we abandon teaching our kids about Isa? No, we don't. So and again Shia, you have to be fair with them. One of the problems that we have is we are unfair to the Shias. How? We paint all the Shia with the same brush. It's different. Not all the Shia curse the Sahaba. Only the Rawafid curse the Sahaba. Only the Rawafid. It's a form of Shia. Shia isn't like Sunni, like we are Sunni. We have so many sects. The Shia have many sects. You have the Zaidi Shia, the Ja'fari Shia. They don't all hate, they don't sweat all the Sahaba. It's wrong. So when we say, for example, all the Shia, we have to be careful. They are our brothers. We disagree with the Shia. Yes, our Aqidah. But are they not Muslims? Yes, they are Muslims. Now they are Muslims. We agree. Do we agree they are Muslims? Now, do I have a right to a Muslim? Does Islam say I have to give my rights to another Muslim? Yes, I have to give my rights to him. If I violate my rights, am I sinful? Yes, I am sinful. Let's stop the firqabazi. Get rid of this firqabazinism, this sectarianism. We are Sunni, alhamdulillah. We are from Ahle Sunnah Wal Jammah. But let's not preach hatred. Whether even Salafis are there. Let's not preach hatred to our kids. Let's teach them love. What we have been doing, my brother, and this is why you are right, we have spent 10, 20 years on the minbar cursing the Shias, cursing the Wahhabis, cursing the Deobandis, attacking everyone. And we have done nothing for our kids. And our kids have left us. Why? Because our majlises have become attacking and cursing. And our kids are not interested in that. Our kids want to learn something. They want to change. But we haven't done that. Why? Because we've spent our time saying, oh, they're all kafir, they're all going to hellfire. Who are you to say they're going to hellfire? Are you Allah? Yani they're our brothers. Tell me, if a Shia in Pakistan is killed, do I not feel that pain? He's my brother of Islam. Yani we are one ummah, al-ummatul wahida. The Prophet made us one nation. We are one. What are we? One ummah. When America was bombing Iraq, it wasn't bombing Iraq with Sunni Shia. They were bombing Iraq because they were Muslims. Agree? So let's not make this sectarianism. It's wrong.
I completely agree with your I'm only asking this question from my childhood now, rather than you explaining this. From my childhood, I was told by the Sunni Imam that even attending the Majlis or even attending the Shura was against Sunni, and this is haram.
No,
That's the word that I'm trying to bring you on, so that if a child of mine or child of them sitting here as a Shia who's taking Muslims somewhere, I can take it from the army, I can take it maybe even in towards women, then we're close to that. We're close to that. Would you tell me to let my child go with that friend to attend that, or shall I just say
you should bring them to our programs that we do in the masjid. Look, I'll give you an example.
What would you tell them?
I will tell you what I do. Before now, we've never had a 10-day Karbala program in this masjid. Do we agree, Shah sir? You know better than I ever been here. Okay? So all the Sunni masjid should revive. One of the things they should do now, every Sunni masjid should have 10-day Karbala programs. Don't leave the Karbala to them. Because I'll give you one example. One person, one of my students, he said to me, and he's my cousin, he said, the problem we have is we don't know nothing about Karbala. And the only information we have is from the Shias. So what we need to do is provide an alternative. Give them the real narration of what happened, but in a balanced way. All I'm saying is, teach them the real version, but don't teach hatred. That's what I'm saying. Let's not teach sectarianism. Let's try to bring people together with it. Yes, we disagree with them, but we need to bring Muslims together. We have more in common than what divides us. Nowadays, we won't even speak to each other. We won't shake hands with each other. We hate each other. We look at one person and we judge him. Oh, he says Allah being loud. No, immediately, He's a Wahhab. You know, fear Allah. The Prophet used to say, Ameen. Is the Prophet now not from... this is narrow-mindedness, and we should get rid of it. Any more questions at all? Inshallah, tomorrow, brothers, we will... tomorrow will be very brief, about 40 minutes only. We will finish well before Isha, and that will be the aftermath of the Battle of Karbala.